Imagine dying in your old life because of some breathing complication and reincarnating as a red-haired baddie. Except the red hair is considered to be some sort of curse rather than gooning material. So without further delay, let's begin our recap. The long-awaited moment finally arrives. The king steps forward before his people, his presence commanding the courtyard as he announces that many among them may already know the purpose of this gathering. He declares that he is here to formally present his son, Prince Leon, and the prince's wise daughter-in-law. Whispers ripple through the noble ladies clustered at the front. They wonder in disbelief whether the royal family truly intends to allow the prince to marry her, for isn't this young woman rumored to bring misfortune? Nearby, the children gathered for the ceremony giggle and tease one another, urging the couple to kiss. The female protagonist answers the unspoken pressure with a poised smile. Lifting a fan to her lips, she leans in toward the prince, as though ready to fulfill the crowd's expectations. Yet beneath the elegant gesture lies the stark truth. This is nothing more than a carefully arranged alliance, a union crafted for mutual gain. It is, in every sense, a marriage devoid of love. Her name, in the life she remembers, is Sheena. A professional makeup artist celebrated across the world, she lived a life of effortless success. The cosmetics she designed sold brilliantly, and every path before her had seemed flawlessly smooth. Or at least, that is how her life should have continued, until the moment she discovers she has been reincarnated inside a shoujo manga, one she once read religiously in her previous world. That story, titled Smart Sparkling Aquarium, was a classic tale where a kind-hearted, commoner girl fell in love with a prince. A jealous villainess emerged, and through her schemes, innocent lives were lost. The path of love was littered with trials and heartbreak, yet love triumphed in the end, and the couple lived happily ever after. But Sheena, now reborn into this world, finds herself inhabiting the body of Alfreda, the pitiable side character who dies. She can hardly believe what she is experiencing. Everything is too vivid, too coherent to be a dream. And of all the people she could have become, she has awakened as Alfreda, the girl destined for execution. She cannot comprehend how fate twisted itself into this absurdity. Right now, however, panic will only make things worse. She forces herself to breathe, to think. What was she doing before this? The memory returns sharply, finishing a shoot for a television program, walking beside someone she trusted, and then suddenly being shoved down a staircase. She had endured gossip, petty rumors, and all manner of professional jealousy, but never once imagined she would actually be murdered. The present snaps back around her as she hears footsteps approaching. Someone is coming her way, and the urgency jolts her into action. She slips beneath the blankets, feigning rest, and greets the newcomer. The maid enters with stiff indifference, announcing that she has brought Alfreda's meal. The tray of food is tossed carelessly onto the table, and Alfreda immediately senses something is wrong. She stops the maid before she can leave. Information is more precious than food right now. She explains that she feels unwell, that her memory is hazy, and she asks how she sustained her injuries. The maid responds with a smirk, claiming it was nothing serious, merely a slip down the stairs resulting in a blow to the head. The explanation unsettles Alfreda. It mirrors too closely the method of her death in her previous life. The overlap is undeniable, and she wonders if the two events are connected. The maid asks whether that is all Alfreda wishes to know. Alfreda confirms it and offers a polite thanks, though her thoughts whirl in turmoil. She recalls that at the time of her fall in her original world, she had been carrying the manga Smart Sparkling Aquarium in her bag. The fact that her fall here mirrors the story's beginning, and her own death, feels too precise to be coincidence. Everything lines up, almost eerily. Understanding her new reality does nothing to soften it. She is now living a life that ends in public execution. The cruelty of such a fate presses on her chest, but despair will not save her. She needs more information, any clue that might open a way out. She begins to search the room, and eventually finds a book tucked away. This must be Alfreda's diary. Inside its pages, she encounters the raw, painful confessions of the girl whose life she now inhabits. How nobles and even servants ridiculed her for her red hair, rumored to bring calamity. How her elder sister, under the pretense of discipline, secretly abused her. How she was neglected and abandoned, with no ally and nowhere to seek comfort. Suddenly, the maid's earlier rudeness makes horrifying sense. Alfreda's world has always been cruel. And all of this, the prejudice, the isolation, is rooted in something as absurd as her hair color. But Sheena knows the story. She knows Alfreda does not die until after the first chapter begins. That gives her nearly 2 whole years. 2 years in which she can rewrite everything. If that is the case, then she will not sit passively and await doom. She will seize control, no matter what it takes. She will live, she will survive, and she will carve out a future drenched in the happiness Elfrida never received. As her resolve crystallizes, a voice intrudes into the room. Someone comments that Elfrida appears rather lively today. She freezes, for she recognizes the owner of that voice instantly. Standing before her is her older sister, her abuser. The Osterman family stands as one of the long-established noble houses, a lineage that accumulated its wealth across generations through mastery of trade and logistics. Their household consists of the father, the mother, and their eldest daughter Monica. In the original manga, Monica's name appeared only briefly, barely more than a footnote. Sheena, now living as Elfrida, recalls that the story never explored Monica's personality, but between what she has read in Smart Sparkling Aquarium and the grim confessions found in Elfrida's real diary, one truth becomes unmistakable. Monica is not a good person. Monica surveys Elfrida with a cool, appraising stare and inquires about her condition. Elfrida answers calmly, stating that she feels better and offering polite gratitude for the concern. Monica reacts with an affected cough, an expression of mocking disbelief, before remarking that it truly would have been better if Elfrida had simply died. She claims that their father, their mother, and everyone in the household are sick with worry because of Elfrida's accident, though her tone drips with irritation rather than genuine care. She continues with another cutting sneer, insisting that merely having someone with red hair in this family is shameful enough. She adds that her little lessons seem to be taking effect, as Elfrida has grown so quiet. Yet for Monica, anything that stands out, anything unusual or different, is inherently unpleasant. Her disdain hangs thick in the room. Then, as though suggesting something trivial, she tells Elfrida she would like a favor. And that favor, she explains, is simple. Why not take another fall down the stairs? If it appears accidental, no one will suspect anything. Monica's expression sharpens as she continues her venomous tirade, insisting that everyone in the Osterman household would be far happier if Elfrida simply disappeared. Elfrida remains silent at first, holding her composure even as the cruelty settles like a weight on her shoulders. Monica demands that she listen properly, but before that command can fully leave her lips, Elfrida moves with unexpected decisiveness and delivers a sharp slap across Monica's face. The sound rings through the room like a crack of lightning. Monica freezes, stunned by the blow, unable to process the fact that the meek little sister she bullied for years has just raised a hand against her. The maid bursts into the room in a panic, calling out to Monica as she rushes to her side. Elfrida scoffs, her voice cold and steady in the aftermath of the strike. Monica had insisted that the world would be happier without her, but Elfrida finds such words disgusting and heartless, revolting in every way. Monica sputters with outrage, shouting that being her sister gives Elfrida no right to act in such a manner. She threatens that she will report everything to their father. But Elfrida refuses to shrink. She reframes the situation, pointing out the true disgrace, urging someone to die. She questions whether such cruelty is truly fitting for a lady of the noble Osterman family. Monica falters, baffled by Elfrida's sudden boldness, unable to understand how the timid girl from yesterday has transformed into someone capable of defiance. Elfrida presses on. She notes that Monica barged into her room without knocking, then sat casually on the bed of an injured person, conduct that is neither courteous nor proper. She wonders aloud whether their mother never taught Monica any manners, or whether Monica simply chose to forget them. Monica erupts in anger, shouting incoherently while the maid tries to calm her down. Inwardly, Elfrida wonders if she may have provoked Monica a bit more than intended. Her past experience arguing with online strangers, especially stubborn aunties, seems to have served her well. But regardless, there is no point in submitting to Monica any longer. More importantly, she knows she could never face the memory of the real Elfrida if she allowed this abuse to continue. Monica eventually explodes again, hurling the insult red hair and demanding how Elfrida dares to talk back. Elfrida answers firmly, declaring once more that Monica's foul tongue is a disgrace to their family name. The scene shifts to Monica storming down the stairs, boiling with rage and confusion. She cannot comprehend what is happening. Just yesterday, Elfrida had not possessed the courage to speak even a single protest, and now she has done this. Monica fumes, vowing that she will never forgive what occurred. She tells herself that Elfrida will pay for this, and that there will be no escape. Meanwhile, Elfrida lies sprawled across her bed, completely drained of energy. She wonders if the slap might have been excessive, though she desperately hopes it will be enough to keep Monica away for a while. She reflects on Monica's behavior and questions whether this cruel treatment had really been inflicted every day before Elfrida's death in the original story. The thought is overwhelming, so much so that a wave of depression washes over her. She decides she needs a change of pace. In her past life, she often relieves stress by going shopping. The idea brings a spark of energy back into her. She sits upright with newfound enthusiasm, believing that a bit of shopping might lift her mood. and if she can gather useful information at the same time, even better. She stretches and begins making plans to visit the town tomorrow. She wonders with curiosity whether this other world has beauty shops, or perhaps even cosmetics. The narrative shifts again, this time to the prince. He is in the middle of a bath, responding to someone outside the room who informs him that the patrol time has arrived. As he finishes and steps out of the warm water, he begins drying himself. The knight or attendant standing nearby watches silently, thinking to himself that the prince's obsession with bathing is quite peculiar. Once the prince dons his robe, he announces that they should depart, and he prepares to begin his duties. Outside, Elfrida steps out with a bright spirit, feeling an unexpected burst of happiness as she walks through the bustling capital. She thinks to herself that this must be the true rule of the capital: lively streets, cheerful people, and an atmosphere full of color. Several ladies nearby gossip excitedly about a newly opened jewelry shop, while a worker loudly advertises freshly baked bread, inviting passers-by to try some. Elfrida notes how vibrant and full of life this place is, thinking that it is truly a wonderful city. She decides that this is her chance to gather information. The uncertainty of not knowing how to return to her original world unsettles her deeply, but she still hopes this might all be one long dream. Besides, now that she understands what the real Elfrida had been through, she feels she cannot simply walk away. She reasons that she should remain in crowded areas for now. Her eyes then catch sight of a cosmetic shop, and a spark lights up in her expression. She tells herself that it will not hurt to look around, so she steps inside. Unnoticed by her, a man begins to follow her from a distance. After some time spent browsing and wandering through the streets, Elfrida grows exhausted. She realizes that she has been exploring for quite a while, and since it is already past noon, she considers heading back. Still, she reflects that the walk has been worthwhile, for she has learned a great deal about this country. Just then, she hears a commotion rising ahead. Curious about the crowd forming in the street, she peeks around to see what is happening. Someone in the crowd announces that they are about to arrive, urging others not to push. Elfrida wonders if something significant is coming through this route. Unfortunately, she needs to take this very road to return, so she has no choice but to move with the crowd. As she starts walking, someone bumps into her hard. She instantly senses that the situation is turning dangerous. Meanwhile, the people around her erupt with excitement. The royal knights are arriving, and Prince Leon is among them. The surrounding ladies express breathless admiration, thinking that he looks dreamlike and magnificent as always. Whispers spread through the crowd, praising him for being as popular as ever. Admirers gush over his striking appearance, believing his face perfectly suits the title of First Prince. They think not only of his looks but also of his brilliance and unmatched swordsmanship, calling him a flawless man, and believing that as long as Leon stands in this kingdom, the country remains in safe hands. Leon surveys the overwhelming crowd and notes that there are far too many people gathered today, wondering if this commotion is because it has been a while since he last patrolled this district. He senses that someone might get hurt at this rate, compelling him to intervene. He begins to push through and urges everyone to step back for their own safety. A cry of fear reaches his ears. He turns sharply and sees Elfrida losing her balance as she is pushed from behind. Just as she is about to fall, he swiftly catches her in time. His eyes widen in recognition when he notices her distinct red hair. For a brief moment, the two of them stare at one another, caught in a silent and unexpected pause, until Elfrida abruptly jumps away from him. Elfrida runs away in a fluster, murmuring apologies as she flees, leaving Leon momentarily puzzled, wondering what exactly just happened. One of the knights nearby expresses concern, hoping the girl is unharmed, while another knight turns to the crowd and firmly instructs everyone to clear the area before someone gets injured. A different knight asks Leon if he is all right, and he gives a composed response, assuring them that he is perfectly fine. Elfrida finally makes it home, her heart still racing from the encounter. There is no doubt in her mind, the man who saved her is the first prince of the kingdom, the captain of the royal knights, and the celebrated hero of the novel, Leon Claude. Having seen him in person, she finds his appearance almost unreal, far more handsome than she had ever imagined. She may have run off in a panic, but part of her wonders if she should have stayed just a little longer. She never expected him to be that overwhelmingly popular among the people. The intensity of the public's adoration surpasses anything she remembers from the manga. In the original story, Leon meets the heroine, and eventually the two of them marry. In other words, Elfrida and Leon's lives never intersect in any meaningful way. But that is fine. Leon is meant to end up happy with the heroine, she thinks. As long as she can live quietly in the background, that alone would be enough. However, none of this solves the biggest problem. She still has no idea how to avoid her execution. A sudden knock on the door interrupts her thoughts. She steps outside and sees the maid standing there. The maid informs her that a letter has arrived, explaining that it concerns the annual party from which Alfreda has always been excluded. The maid then asks if she should mark Alfreda as absent once again this year. Alfreda considers the situation. As the despised, red-haired noble, everyone looks down on her. They would certainly be shocked if she suddenly appeared at the party, but she realizes this might be her chance. If she can win over a few high-ranking nobles during the event, she might discover a way to escape her execution. With this in mind, she instructs the maid to send a reply, stating that she will be attending, a declaration that startles the maid to the point of silence. Alfreda, slightly annoyed, wonders if the maid failed to hear her clearly, because she distinctly stated that she would be going. The social skills she acquired in the modern world finally have a use here, she thinks. This is the perfect opportunity to apply them. She then orders the maid to bring her every piece of jewelry in the house immediately. She intends to make her debut in high society the most dazzling the kingdom has ever witnessed. Although she tells herself she is ready, Alfreda cannot ignore the reality of her dry skin, brittle hair, and thin, fragile body. No matter how she views her reflection, she feels completely unprepared to attend a grand party like this. But with all the beauty knowledge she carries from her previous life, she believes this much can be repaired within a week. She decides it is time to polish her long unused skills. It becomes her week of intense self-care. First, she focuses on a healthy diet to beautify herself from the inside out. She gently cleanses her face to prevent irritation and begins treating any acne with care. She mixes honey and oil to create a quick DIY hair treatment. Knowing that regular exercise is just as important, she secretly practices stretching and strength training. After every workout, she soaks in warm water to boost her metabolism, letting the sweat pour out freely. Bit by bit, she begins to look far better. After several days, she can hardly believe her own transformation. She realizes this girl, her current self, had potential from the very beginning. Self-care truly proves to be the greatest magic. A hairstylist is scheduled to arrive soon, and everything is falling into place. The dress she ordered from the tailor should be delivered any moment, and she can hardly wait to put it on. She smiles to herself, imagining the expressions of those foolish nobles. She plans to appear breathtakingly beautiful and leave them all utterly speechless. Finally, the night of the ball arrives. A carriage rolls up to the entrance, and the coachman steps forward as if prepared to help her descend. She gives a polite acknowledgement and steps down gracefully on her own. Everyone nearby freezes in stunned silence. They are completely taken aback by how extraordinarily beautiful she appears. Some whisper quietly, wondering if this radiant figure could truly be the rumored red-haired girl they had all looked down upon. Alfreda turns toward them with effortless poise, expressing that she hopes she did not interrupt their conversation. The lady among them, slightly flustered, wonders what Alfreda means. Alfreda then remarks that she simply wanted to compliment the lady's beautiful dress, observing that it resembles the newest design from the boutique on First Street. The lady seems surprised that Alfreda knows the shop. Alfreda explains that she stopped by recently to browse hats, unaware that the woman herself was the owner. The gentleman beside her mentions that, in fact, all the boutiques in that area belong to him and his wife. Alfreda responds that this explains the consistent sense of style across all the stores. Her attention to such detail greatly pleases the man, who seems delighted that she noticed something so specific. Alfreda responds with confidence, noting that the lace peeking out from the sleeves is particularly well designed. The lady facing her becomes confused and mildly irritated, wondering why the red-haired girl suddenly decides to speak as though she is some kind of expert. In her mind, Alfreda only possesses shallow knowledge, and it seems like the perfect time to give her a subtle reality check. The lady therefore invites Alfreda to share her thoughts on upcoming fashion trends for noblewomen. Pretending to be genuinely interested, she adds a thinly veiled jab, suggesting that perhaps such topics might be too advanced for someone who has supposedly spent her entire life stuck at home. Alfreda acknowledges the harshness of the remark, yet she admits the woman is partially right. Trends do not simply appear out of thin air. She believes trends are something intentionally created, a statement that startles both listeners. Alfreda elaborates, explaining that it begins with an idea someone wishes to promote, followed by choosing who will wear it. She offers an example, selecting a well-known young lady and having her wear something that suits her perfectly. The man listening begins to consider the possibility. If a noblewoman attends a party in a captivating dress, she could attract attention and shape the direction of fashion. Alfreda confirms this, emphasizing that determining what they wish to make trendy is the most important step. She apologizes for not giving a more direct answer. The man finds her perspective refreshingly original and admits that he appreciates it. With no choice left, the lady also expresses agreement, apologizing for nitpicking and acknowledging Alfreda's clear familiarity with fashion. Alfreda reassures her, stating that she truly enjoyed the conversation. She reflects inwardly that the intuition she developed through her past work has proven unexpectedly useful. Suddenly, someone calls out to her, and she turns to see a growing crowd. Many nobles approach her, saying they overheard her insights and found her viewpoint fascinating, hoping to hear more. She wonders in disbelief how so many people manage to gather around her without her noticing. Then, one man asks what it feels like to be born with red hair, questioning whether it really brings misfortune and similar nonsense. The question irritates her deeply. She realizes that this is what most of them truly care about. They are merely seeking gossip, and the whole thing feels disgusting. She excuses herself with grace, claiming she needs to fix her makeup. A few hours later, she stands alone on a quiet balcony. She needed a moment of peace, and after steadying herself, she returned to mingle with the nobles. Fortunately, she made several promising connections, and overall the evening went well. Just like with fortune-telling, many people do not believe in the red hair superstition either. She feels tired, yet genuinely happy. Since her reincarnation, she has rarely felt this fulfilled. It has been a very long time since she experienced such contentment. The balcony door opens, and someone steps outside. When she turns, she sees Leon. Before she can gather her thoughts, another lady rushes after him, calling his name and insisting that she has been looking for him, declaring that he must stay with her today. But the moment the lady steps outside, she notices Alfreda standing there as well. The white-haired lady freezes, recognizing her. Alfreda is startled as realization strikes. This woman is the villainess from the book, and her name is Misha. Misha looks at Alfreda with open disgust, calling her a filthy red-haired girl, repulsive as always. She then demands to know how Alfreda dares to be alone with Leon, and what business someone like her could possibly have with him. Leon attempts to speak, but Alfreda can immediately see how disastrously the situation is turning. Misha is completely misinterpreting everything, and if Alfreda lets this continue unchecked, Misha's wrath will steer her straight toward an execution route. Before she can intervene, Leon abruptly declares that the reason he is involved is because she is his lady, and far worse because she is his fiancée. The statement shocks Misha, but it startles Alfreda even more. She wonders what on earth he is saying, how such an idea even formed, and why he would say she is his fiancée. She cannot make sense of it. Why her? And why now? Misha quickly dismisses his claim, unable to believe he is serious, and she regards Alfreda with open contempt, wondering how someone like her could possibly be connected to him. Yet Leon insists that it is not a joke. He even proclaims that the two of them are deeply in love, which leaves Alfreda internally reeling, certain he does not even know her name properly. She remembers him as reserved, not as someone who spews such blatant and desperate lies. But if he is lying, she cannot fathom the reason. What alarms her further is how aggressively Misha is behaving. In the original novel, none of this ever felt so intense. Only now does Alfreda begin to suspect that Leon may secretly despise Misha, which would explain the sudden escalation. Even so, Misha remains unconvinced and points out that she has never seen the two together, accusing Leon of fabricating a relationship solely to drive her away. Alfreda understands that her survival depends on this moment. Leon is the first prince of the country. No matter how influential Misha's family is, they should not be capable of directly contradicting him. In that case, Alfreda sees only one viable path. She steps forward and confirms Leon's claim, declaring that everything he has said is true. Leon falls silent, and even Misha appears taken aback, because Alfreda is now clearly leveraging the prince's authority to shield herself from an unjust and premature execution. If he used her earlier, she will use him right back. To solidify the story, Alfreda states that the two of them have been exchanging letters ever since their first meeting at a party. She explains that, due to his position, he has been unable to make their relationship public, and she apologizes for the necessity of secrecy. Misha refuses to address her, telling her father that she was not speaking to Alfreda at all, declaring that nothing from her red-haired mouth can be trusted. The insult stuns Alfreda, and Misha steps closer to Leon, demanding to know how long he intends to keep up this facade. She accuses him of using this Scarlet Girl for his own advantage, refusing to believe any part of the claim. Alfreda knows the final deciding factor rests with Leon, and she holds her breath. At last, he affirms that regardless of how many times he must repeat it, the answer will not change. He takes hold of Alfreda, declaring her his rightful fiancée, and demands that Misha cease approaching him unnecessarily and stop insulting Alfreda's hair. Alfreda cannot believe that he is actually defending her. Misha's anger flares. Even if his statement is true, she insists that he should know the legends surrounding red hair. Alfreda's family may be noble, but their rank is average at best. To the prestigious Cloud family, they are barely above commoners. Someone like her, Misha insists, has no rightful place beside him and would only tarnish the dignity of his house. Before the spiral can worsen, Leon interrupts. Although he says he understands Misha's concerns and respects her family's viewpoint, he advises that if she truly believes Alfreda unworthy, she should present her complaint directly to the king. The statement leaves Misha completely stunned. Without waiting for a response, Leon turns away, satisfied that an understanding has been reached, and escorts Alfreda out of the room. Behind them, Misha stands frozen, unable to comprehend what has just occurred. Now alone with Leon, Alfreda finds herself in an awkward, heavy silence. She has survived the encounter, but only for now. The situation remains precarious. Leon appears to regret the events as well, and she assumes that is acceptable. She would rather the prince feel discomfort than face execution. She thanks him for defending her against Misha's insults. Leon claims it was nothing, and admits that judging someone by hair color is foolish. More importantly, he apologizes for dragging her into the chaos. She assures him she is not bothered, and he expresses his gratitude. Yet he cannot help asking why she supported his lie. Alfreda hesitates. After a moment, she tells him that if he truly wishes to know, then he should come to the Osterman estate the following night in secret, where she will explain everything. She leaves immediately afterward and rushes back toward her carriage, leaving Leon standing there bewildered. Later, as she lies on her bed, the weight of what she has done settles fully upon her. She admits to herself that she has made a terrible mistake. Now that her mind is clear, she realizes that marrying Leon would completely reshape the original story. She supposes the divergence began the moment she tried to avoid execution. From that point onward, the original plot was destined to shift. Even so, she does not want to obstruct Leon's genuine romantic storyline. She spent the entire night after the party deliberating over potential solutions, how to survive without derailing the fates of those meant to remain in place. She is far from pleased with the conclusion she has reached, but she recognizes that there is no other path remaining. Alfreda is preparing her dress, her movements absent and unsteady, because her mind has been drifting for hours. She had been so lost in thought, that evening has already fallen without her noticing. If Leon truly accepted the invitation she gave him the previous night, then he should be arriving at the estate tonight. The mere thought causes a strange nervousness to rise in her chest, an unfamiliar sensation, completely unlike her usual composure. Her thoughts circle back to yesterday's disastrous encounter, and she still cannot understand how she happened to cross paths with Misha at such an unfortunate moment. Misha, the only daughter of the Tark family, stands at the pinnacle of the kingdom's aristocracy. The Tarks have been monumental landowners for generations, rising to unparalleled influence, and even now their wealth continues to expand at an overwhelming pace. Despite her delicate and captivating outward appearance, Misha is infamously self-centered. Backed by the Tark family's power, very few dare contradict her. People inevitably bow to her whims. Anyone she dislikes is promptly ostracized without question. Alfreda recalls how she once attracted Misha's attention in the past, and even that fleeting interest had ended poorly. She sighs, realizing that at this point, the only thing she can do is wait for Leon. There is nothing else left within her power. Time passes slowly, and by the time she glances at the clock again, it is already nearing midnight. A hollow feeling spreads through her when she concludes that he might not be coming after all. It is not as though he is obligated to listen to someone like her. In the rigid hierarchy of noble society, rank dictates everything, and compared to him she stands far too low. She tried to invite him, but perhaps she overestimated her influence. If he does not appear, then the plan she had crafted, to use Leon as her shield against execution, will crumble instantly. She must devise another strategy, and quickly. Perhaps she should return to town again, gather information, attempt to find another means of survival. Just as she steels herself for this new approach, a sharp knock echoes from her door. Startled, she rises from her seat, her heartbeat quickening. When she opens the door, she finds Leon standing before her, in the dim hallway. For a moment she is so surprised that a scream nearly escapes her, but he swiftly raises his hand, covering her mouth gently to silence her. He urges her not to make noise, warning her that someone might see them, and instructs her to close the door quickly. He explains that he did arrive earlier, but he had no idea where in the estate she was. Leon explains that he slipped past the guard and searched the estate to find her. Only then does Alfreda realize she had forgotten to tell him where she would be waiting, yet despite that oversight, he still came. The fact that he made the effort to appear in person gives her a faint sense of hope. There might still be room for negotiation. She prepares herself to explain the situation, beginning to mention the matter of pretending to be his fiancé. She tries to admit that she had something to say about that arrangement, but Leon stops her, insisting there is no need to discuss it here. Instead, he extends his hand toward her and asks for hers. When she places her hand in his, he lifts it slightly and brushes his knuckles against her skin. He tells her that he genuinely appreciates her cooperation in the act, but regarding Misha, he had intended to tell the truth. Elfrida understands immediately. This is exactly the kind of gentle, honest, carefully measured approach she would expect from the main hero. Still, something in his expression suggests reluctance, as though he wishes he could avoid the situation entirely. Before she can dwell on it further, he reveals that the gesture is meant as a token of apology. At the very least, he assures her of its quality. Elfrida quietly evaluates him, then decides that she has a much better idea. When he asks what she means, she gathers her courage. The proposal is bold, far bolder than anything she has attempted before, but it is a plan that could benefit them both. She reaches out her hand and presents her suggestion, a contract marriage with her. Leon clearly does not expect this. The surprise flickers across his face, but Elfrida immediately launches into her explanation. She states plainly that such a marriage would be based entirely on mutual agreement. She guesses that he has not only been pressured by Misha but by numerous other women as well. Leon admits that this is correct. That admission strengthens her confidence. She continues, pointing out that by marrying her, those persistent women would finally stop troubling him, and he would no longer need to apologize to Misha or anyone else. When he asks what she stands to gain from the arrangement, she answers just as plainly. Being with him, the first prince, would change the way people see her red hair. She knows the reasoning is logical, even though the true motive is her desire to protect herself from Misha's wrath. From his position, she doubts he gains much, but she still hopes he will consider it. Leon responds almost immediately. He accepts. Elfrida is momentarily stunned. His answer comes so quickly that she wonders if she heard him properly. She thanks him, though her thoughts race, unable to believe that something so monumental unfolded in mere seconds. Leon explains that, as she said, he has been greatly troubled by overly persistent women, so her suggestion seemed worth accepting. She finds herself thinking that even handsome people suffer in their own way, and this world is no exception. He then adds that, aside from everything else, she once had the audacity to slap his hand away and run from him, so he is certain she can handle whatever trouble the future holds. Only then does the realization strike her. He has understood far more than she assumed. He studies her again and asks if she is truly fine with this arrangement. She knows she was the one who proposed it, but even so, standing before the first prince makes the situation feel overwhelming. Leon steps closer, meeting her gaze directly. He clarifies that this will be strictly a contractual marriage. He will live his life as he chooses, and she is free to do the same, so long as she refrains from doing anything that could damage the Cloud family's reputation. She accepts without hesitation, reminding herself that the protagonist of the original manga appears in 2 years anyway. Once that moment comes, she can quietly fade from the center of the story. With that understanding, Leon declares the agreement settled. The two of them shake hands, formalizing their pact, each expressing that they look forward to working together. Leon explains that now that they have made their decision, they need to devise a strategy. He begins by pointing out that the first priority is to ensure their plan remains a secret from everyone. She agrees, understanding the importance of discretion. Leon suggests that they could reside together in a state-owned villa for the time being. She concurs, noting that starting their marriage living apart would arouse suspicion. Then she brings up the matter of wedding rings. He admits that he is not particularly enthusiastic about the idea, but she emphasizes that, even if he is reluctant, it is rare for a married couple not to wear rings. Leon explains that wearing unnecessary items diminishes his sensitivity with the sword. Yet she insists that the ring is not about rank but a symbol of love, though she finds it largely ceremonial. Acknowledging her point, he concedes that they can decide on the matter when the time feels right. Next, they consider informing their parents. She hesitates, questioning whether it is acceptable to proceed with the marriage without the king's permission. She admits it may be late to ask, but he reassures her that everything is properly planned, and he would not have agreed to this union otherwise. Since securing an audience will take time, Leon proposes meeting her parents first. She sees no issue with that and arranges for him to visit the day after tomorrow at noon, when the whole family will be present. Leon acknowledges the plan, but realizes he must leave immediately to avoid being seen. Before departing, he remarks that he will be counting on her from now on. She is left astonished by his unconventional exit through the window, finding his audacity and charm unexpectedly amusing. Finally, the designated day arrives when the Fall family is gathered for tea. She interrupts the conversation politely, apologizing for the intrusion, and requests a moment of their attention. Monica, slightly exasperated, questions what she intends to say, while her father complains that her presence has spoiled the enjoyment of tea and urges her to be brief. Maintaining her composure, she apologizes once more and reveals that there is someone she wishes the family to meet. She calls Leon in and announces to them with quiet confidence that she wishes to introduce the Prince Leon, the first prince of the kingdom. Her entire family is utterly shocked, letting out simultaneous screams, unable to comprehend why a prince would be in their home or what exactly she has done. Confusion and disbelief ripple through them, each questioning how such a thing could happen without their knowledge. Monica, in particular, struggles to understand why she is involved with Prince Leon. At last, she declares with steady resolve that she wishes to marry Leon, causing Monica's face to turn pale. Leon steps forward, his presence commanding yet composed. He affirms that everything she has said is true, and expresses his desire to become her husband. He has come to request their blessing. The family remains frozen in astonishment. He continues, acknowledging his inexperience, and understanding that entrusting their precious daughter to him may understandably make them uneasy. Yet he assures them of his unmatched strength and intellect, and his unwavering resolve to protect and care for her. He implores them to trust him, and allow him to take responsibility for their daughter. The family is still stunned, but their mother finally speaks, saying there is absolutely no problem, and even her father reluctantly concurs. However, curiosity surfaces, and he asks how the two of them first met. Leon explains that they met at a party some time ago. Her father turns to her and remarks that she should have told them sooner, to which she responds that they would not have believed her even if she had. Monica, still unable to comprehend how someone she considers beneath her could be connected to the first prince, grows furious. She steps forward, voice tight with frustration, and declares that, with all due respect, she is her sister and cannot act independently. She fears she would only be a burden to him, and admits that she still requires guidance and discipline. Monica adds, with a heavy heart, that it would be best to call off the marriage, her mind clouded with worry over the misfortune she fears might befall the family. Her father, exasperated, demands to know what Monica's talking about. Leon, however, responds calmly, explaining that concerns such as hair color are trivial. If such things could endanger them, the Claw family would be far too weak, and even the mightiest defense would be insufficient to keep them safe. Monica protests that this is not what she means, but Leon scoffs, urging her to speak her honest opinion without restraint, leaving her slightly startled. Finally, their mother intervenes, scolding Monica into silence before turning to apologize to Leon for her daughter's outburst. After such a stern reprimand, Alfreda doubts Monica will speak again, and the family ultimately gives their blessings. The first obstacle has been cleared. Later, as Leon prepares to leave, she sees him off and expresses her gratitude for saving her earlier. He humbly replies that he only stated the facts, assuring her that there is no need for undue worry. More importantly, he reminds her that they have a royal audience tomorrow, and warns her not to be late. She promises to do her best. With that, he departs in his carriage. As the carriage moves away, a young boy nearby peeks curiously, murmuring in astonishment at the sight of the royal carriage. He smokes and remarks to himself that this scoop is going to sell for a fortune. The next day, Alfreda's eyes widen as she sees the castle where Leon resides. She had known about it before, but seeing it in person, it strikes her as overwhelmingly huge. Her heart races at the thought that she is about to greet the king and queen, who live in this magnificent place. She feels even more nervous than she had during her first show taping. Leon notices her unease and apologizes, expressing regret if he kept her waiting. Alfreda assures him that she has just arrived herself. Leon reflects that she had mentioned she wanted to relearn noble etiquette the other day. She insists that there is no need to worry, for she has drilled it into her head thoroughly. Leon adds that his father is an extremely strict man, warning her to be careful not to lose her composure, which causes a flicker of terror in her. Seeing her reaction, Leon quickly clarifies that he was only joking, though to Alfreda, his words had sounded far from humorous. At last, the grand gates of the castle swing open. The servants bow deeply as they welcome Leon and Alfreda. Leon expresses his gratitude to the butler for the warm reception and requests that Alfreda be guided to his father's room. The butler obliges, leading them along the opulent corridors. Alfreda can't help but marvel at the grandness of the reception, so vastly different from her own family's. She realizes that this is the embodiment of royalty. The butler politely instructs them to follow him before taking his leave. As they approach the royal chambers, Leon reminds Alfreda that he has already explained the situation to his father beforehand, but the king might wish to hear it directly, and he will handle the explanation. Alfreda thanks him, her nerves buzzing, and they knock on the king's door. The king grants them entry, expressing his appreciation for their visit. He directs his attention to Alfreda, stating that he has been waiting for her. Facing a king in person, Alfreda feels a mixture of honor and anxiety. She introduces herself formally as Alfreda of the Osterman family, expressing profound gratitude for the opportunity to meet him, intending to articulate her sincerity fully. But before she can complete her words, a small interruption occurs. A little boy calls Leon, "Big brother," and rushes forward, hugging his legs tightly. Alfreda quickly realizes that he is the second prince of the kingdom, named Mark, and understands that he is Leon's half-brother. In her mind, she recalls that they are supposed to be close, yet in this setting, the moment feels unexpected. The queen, noticing the interruption, gently instructs Mark not to disturb the proceedings, apologizing for his enthusiasm. Alfreda reassures the queen that there is no need to worry, charmed by the child's affectionate display, and her tension momentarily dissolves. The queen introduces herself as Natalia and expresses her gratitude to Alfreda for coming, inviting her to join them. Soon, everyone is seated, and the king gestures for them to begin. He acknowledges that he has heard portions of their story before, but wishes to hear the full details directly from them. Leon steps forward first, recounting his desire to marry Alfreda, the second daughter of the Osterman family. He explains that they first met at a party, and proceeds to narrate the events leading to this day. Mark observes quietly as the king contemplates the story, the atmosphere charged with slight awkwardness. The king then raises a question regarding the legend surrounding red hair. Leon confirms that he is aware of it. The king inquires whether he still wishes to marry Alfreda, despite the old legend. Leon affirms his commitment, expressing his belief that the kingdom will not crumble due to a mere superstition. The king considers his response for a moment before smiling and granting his approval for the marriage to Alfreda of the Osterman family. The announcement leaves everyone present astonished. Queen Natalia turns to Alfreda, expressing her eagerness to collaborate and work alongside her in the future. The king elaborates further, remarking that Leon had never shown much interest in romance before, and now, having genuinely fallen in love, he wishes to support his son, not merely as a monarch, but as a father. Leon is momentarily taken aback by this declaration when Natalia playfully slaps his hand, affirming that the decision is final and that wedding preparations should commence immediately. She emphasizes that the celebration will be a national affair. Leon glances at Mark, wondering if he will assist, only to find the young prince already fast asleep, having exhausted himself. As they exit the royal chambers, the king watches them with an enigmatic expression. Several months later, a grand wedding takes place, celebrated by the masses due to Leon's impeccable reputation. Alfreda embarks on her married life with smooth beginnings, yet a shadow looms over her peace. Misha is present, and Alfreda knows that she will never forgive them. A determined scoff escapes her, as she vows silently that Leon belongs to her alone, no matter what challenges lie ahead. Leon and Alfreda, who had initially planned a contract marriage for mutual benefits, finally complete the formalities of their wedding after receiving approval from both sets of parents. Both families have already met face-to-face, and everything appears to be progressing smoothly. A month ago, Alfreda had offered to handle the party invitations, to which Leon had responded by mentioning that the next matter to settle was the furniture. He inquired if she had any particular preferences, but she, anticipating the expense of furnishing everything from scratch, proposed bringing a few pieces from her own room. Leon questions her about the room, and she confirms that it was indeed hers. He expresses that if she intends to bring furniture from her previous room, he would prefer to provide everything himself. She feels that accepting such generosity would make her feel guilty. Leon, however, insists firmly that he cannot allow it and wants to handle it himself. Back in the present, Alfreda is struck by the opulence of the furniture. She had not expected it to be so luxurious. From behind, someone announces that all the furniture has been moved in, and she recognizes it is Leon. He apologizes for his late arrival and notices that she has been admiring the furnishings. She responds that she simply did not anticipate such extravagance and expresses her gratitude, promising to repay him properly at a later date. Leon smiles and dismisses it, saying it will be considered a favor. Even so, Alfreda reflects that the investment is substantial, but perhaps necessary if two people are going to share the bed. She agrees with herself that the thought is sensible, yet when she turns to look at Leon, she is momentarily shocked by the implication. Leon observes matter-of-factly that since they are married, sleeping in separate beds would appear suspicious. He reassures her that there is no need for concern, emphasizing that he will not lay a finger on her. She recognizes the logic but feels that a prior warning would have been considerate, as she needs time to prepare mentally. Leon, reflecting further, questions why she had been living in such a filthy room when the other rooms were clean. Alfreda explains that she preferred to keep her family's belongings private to avoid complications, adding that her old room had a leaking ceiling. Leon recalls that the maid was waiting outside and had offered to prepare a bath for this room. Alfreda is pleased by this and instructs the maid to begin immediately. Later that night, Alfreda applies moisturizer to her hands, examining the skin closely. She notices failed scars, likely inflicted by Monica, but the marks on her other hand are far more severe, resembling burns from boiling water. It is evident that she never received proper treatment. A knock at the door alerts her, and she realizes the need to conceal the scars to prevent Leon from suspecting her family or contemplating annulment. Leon announces that the bath is ready, causing Elfrida to blush as he is nearly half naked. Concerned, she asks him to wear his bathrobe. He apologizes, explaining that he is usually around men and did not consider her discomfort, which startles her. He decides to fetch clothes from another room before leaving. Elfrida's attention then shifts to a small kitten, which she finds utterly adorable. It wears a collar, suggesting it belongs to one of the maids. Curious, she inquires whether Leon knows anything about it. He explains that it is actually his kitten. She questions if something had happened to it, and he clarifies that it was simply hidden, as he feared people would be disappointed or think less of him if they found it. She probes further, asking if someone had advised him this, and he recounts that his old tutor had told him that caring too much makes one vulnerable. Yet, upon seeing the kitten shivering in the cold, he could not abandon it. Elfrida understands the underlying mentality, that in this world, rigid gender roles dictate that a man must display stoicism and strength, and although twisted from her perspective, it is considered normal. She realizes there are likely countless others silently enduring similar struggles, and while she cannot change the world's values, she resolves to assist those within her reach. Concluding that they should keep the kitten in their room and claim it as her own, she reassures Leon that she does not mind and will respect his feelings, allowing him to open up in his own time. She lifts the kitten and declares the matter settled, noting that she must prepare a bed for it. Leon smiles, thinking that Elfrida truly is someone remarkable. The next day, Elfrida opens the closet and notices that she wore this dress 2 days ago, and the other one was also worn 2 days ago. She remembers changing out of this one the same day. A pang of worry hits her, as she realizes she doesn't have any fresh clothes left. Then it clicks. She had sold off all her ragged garments when she moved. With the entire day free, she decides that perhaps it is the perfect opportunity to go shopping for the first time in a while. Stepping outside, she calls to the butler, expressing her wish to head into town for some shopping and inquiring whether it would be permissible. The butler responds with immediate readiness, offering to gather a few attendants to carry her things. Elfrida declines politely, insisting she can manage on her own. The butler, however, insists, saying it brings them joy to serve her. Elfrida is momentarily blinded by such devotion, realizing that the loyalty and attentiveness of the castle staff are incomparable to the maids back at her own home. Still, she yearns for a quiet shopping trip, so she assures him that she simply wants to shop in peace. The butler nods in understanding, though she notices the way he and the other attendants regard her, as if she were some exotic noblewoman. As Elfrida looks back, she catches sight of a maid who suddenly rushes away. Even though she is now Leon's wife, it must be startling for those who once considered her a symbol of misfortune to see her living in the castle. She feels a quiet sense of appreciation that no one is troubling her. Content, she tells herself that she will get everything prepared. The boutique delivers exactly what she requested, and she arranges for the items to be sent to her address, promising herself that she will return someday. She delights in the cute clothes, recalling how much fun it used to be to design her own. Perhaps in this world she could try it again. With her new wardrobe in hand, she decides it is time to head back home. As she contemplates the route, a commotion catches her attention. A voice shouts, cursing someone from the slums. Elfrida witnesses a man violently kicking another in a narrow alley, berating him for daring to act arrogantly. Alarmed, she moves to intervene, but an older man steps in, warning her that she would only get herself into trouble if she tried. He tells her that incidents like this occur every day in this area and warns her, especially as a woman, to be cautious. With that, he departs, leaving Elfrida shaken. She cannot fathom that such brutality is a daily occurrence. Her gaze falls on a small, cute, bunny-patterned handkerchief lying nearby. It must belong to the boy who was beaten. The warmth radiating from it suggests it is important to him, and she knows she must return it. Worry gnaws at her, not only for the handkerchief, but for the boy's injuries. Though the streets are dangerous, she cannot ignore the image of him being beaten. Elfrida recognizes that abandoning someone in need is not who she is. Resolutely, she begins walking, determined to help him. She arrives at the scene and sees the boy being attended to, bandages covering his injuries. He had been kicked forcefully, yet he manages to reassure his younger siblings that he is fine. The little ones, ever spoiled and affectionate, plead for attention, and he scolds them lightly in response, a tender smile softening his face. Their father calls out, asking if he is all right. The boy, named Fionn, reassures him that it is just a scratch. Suddenly, someone knocks at the door, and Fionn's siblings murmur about a possible guest. Fionn tells them to return to their room while he answers the door. To his surprise, it is Elfrida standing there. She smiles warmly, telling Fionn that she has finally found him,